Yeah, it's the Preacher, and I'm rocking the two-tone. Santan and booger green. Got my brother down in my old spot from last night. I'm about a half mile off the river in an overgrown field. Some of you might call it CRP. And I broke my own rules. Yesterday I gave you, I don't know when this video will air, but I gave a pro tip about keeping them out front and getting them in close. Well, I broke my own tip today. I didn't have the river to my back, and so I'm sitting here with my back to a fence row just to break my outline. I've got some brush stuck in it. I'm overlooking this growed up field. You can kind of see it out here. I have a failed soybean field on the other side of the fence from me, and by failed I mean there's some soybeans in it, but they're short, and they didn't get combined. They just made a couple passes through the best of it. And so I was thinking that deer would be coming from the river through this growed up stretch of field, because it's wide open for a mile across here, into the bean field. And so while I was sitting here about 30 minutes ago, I looked out in the far end of that bean field, which for me is, as far as I can see, is 350. I could see a pretty good buck, and I thought, wow, he's gonna come and hit this low spot and come right to me. Well, he didn't. He came and then he crossed over the slough and went to the other side, which is a better bean field. So when he crossed over that slough and went away from me, I thought, well, there's there. You know, that's that. And 30 minutes went by. I could hear splashing behind me in the slough. And I'm like, that's got to be that deer coming back across, or a deer. You know, I said in my tips that if you put the river to your back, you'll hear them coming. You'll hear them get out of the river. They don't make noise when they swim, but when they get out, they shake off, they stomp off. They don't like being wet any more than anybody else does. So I heard this thing shaking off behind me. Or I heard something shaking off behind me. So I'm sitting down in a chair with my gun on shooting sticks, prepared to cover these two little low spots in this CRP field. So I unhooked my rifle from my shooting sticks, and I'll just show you. I stood up like this, and I turned around to see, and there's what you can see, but here's what I can see. The leaves that were shading me earlier were now in my way, so I just laid my rifle barrel right through these bushes, and I thought, if that thing pops over that hill, I'm ready. Well, he did. He didn't pop over, but I think you might be able to see the horns on him. And there we go. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's a deer eye and part of a deer horn. Well, from my vantage point, all I could see was this from here up. He was coming up the hill, so all I could see was just the white on his throat patch and a little bit of this side of his neck. And I didn't have a rest. I was just kind of poked through the bushes. I thought he was coming out more down this way. When I realized he was right there, he stepped out. We saw each other about the same time. I just shifted my gun around, and I thought, well, I'll shoot just below that white patch. And I did. And I dropped him right there. I shot, he went out of the scope, but I saw a foot go up in the air. So I was like, well, you probably got him. And let's walk over and take a look at him. I think he's a real nice 8-point. I went over there earlier and could just look over the fence and make sure he wasn't just wounded or playing possum. But no, he's fully dead. Let me walk you over there and we'll take a look at him, drag him out here while we still got some daylight. Well, you can see the trail he was coming on, and you can see he dropped in his tracks. This is not an extremely large deer for our area. This is a respectable buck, but this ain't a giant by any man's standards around here. Well, we ain't got much daylight left. This deer, probably 2.5 to 3.5 years old. Yeah, 2.5 to 3.5. Not a giant, about 15 inches inside spread. Bullet went in here, came out through the neck and stopped there. So could have killed him with any rifle with that shot. Anyways, I got an armadillo over there. May shoot him on my way out. Anyways, thank you guys for being with me. Pretty deer. She could have had longer tines, but I'm not going to complain. Where I hunt at, I'd shoot a deer like this every year if I could. Very pleased.